Okay, we are live, it's telling me. What's going on, everyone? It's Coach Ben here. I'm going to refresh on my phone, make sure we are live in the group, and then I'll get to work answering your questions. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday, the last one here in June. I am just going to go here until I see that the live video is going. Let's see. It would help if I was in the Facebook group, just not on general Facebook. Let's see, here we go. Here we go. I am live. Okay. General Facebook. Alright, what's going on, everyone? Ed and Annette, hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to crack open my drink of choice for today's live. I'm going to start answering your questions. I love, my favorite soda is probably a Diet A&W root beer. No caffeine, tastes great, you can't beat root beer. Plus I'm pretty sure the A&W has like the vanilla flavored or something, whatever. So take a sip of this and I'll get to work. What's going on, Bill? Good to see you guys there. Alright, I am now ready to answer your questions, alright? So Steve kicks us off. He had a really great question I want to dive into. And Steve asked, question, I've been asking and cannot ever get an answer. I average 15,000 steps every day, just being at work and doing just general work things. Is this counted as cardio, or do I need a dedicated 1 hour cardio session also? For fat loss, of course. It's a great question, Steve. All right. The answer is as follows. It depends on what your starting place is. If someone was very sedentary and then they want to start on a fat loss journey, steps would be cardio. However, for someone in your situation, you're on your feet a lot at work. You're moving. You're getting in 15,000 steps a day. Steps are not cardio because that is what you are accustomed to. You would benefit from adding some kind of higher intensity energy expenditure work. Does it have to be 1 hour of cardio? No, it could be 40 minutes of cardio, right? Something like incline treadmill walking. It can be the elliptical machine. It can be a stationary bike, a jog outside, etc. Okay, that is much more intense than walking at work, right? I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day you're pretty tired. I mean, your feet are tired, right? Like you've been moving a lot. But again, you are used to it. The whole goal of cardio is to burn calories. You burn some doing your general daily movement. I'm burning some while I'm standing here moving my arms and talking, right? You're moving more when you're walking around at work. However, you're burning even more when you are doing cardio. Let's say you're doing the treadmill, okay? Let's say you set it to an incline that is pushing you, but you can sustain, right? You're not causing any back pain or anything. Let's say you are upping the speed to a point where you're walking at a fast pace and it's making you work up your breathing rate. It's making you work up a sweat. It's really not that fun, but it is manageable for the whole duration of the session, whether it's 23 minutes, 40 minutes, or 61 minutes. Hey, that is cardio. You're burning more calories in a more time-efficient manner than you would have general daily steps. So if someone's like, man, I get in so many steps a day. I do 15K, 20K, 25K. But I hit a fat loss plateau. What should I do? I would say let's start doing some cardio and maybe a little bit less steps, right? So maybe you're just still very active, at least getting in 10,000 steps a day to make sure you're not a couch potato. But to get you towards your goal of transforming your physique, I would say, hey, let's burn some calories of cardio. Hopefully that answers your question, Steve. Let me know if that does not, and we'll be good to go from there. All right, I see we have some more with us. Joanne, how are you doing? Good morning, or I guess, well, for me, I'm in Eastern time here in the U.S. It's 12:05, so good early afternoon. And what is going on? Enda, hope you're doing well, Enda. Let's see who else is here. Guys, if you have questions along the way, drop them in the comment section down below. And the other thing I mentioned in that graphic I put up a few days ago is that besides addressing any and all of your questions, I also want to talk about, since we're halfway through this challenge, almost literally halfway through, I want to talk about breaking through those plateaus. Okay, and in my focus group this past week, we did talk about that. I'm not going to give the same exact presentation, but I wanted to cover some of those points to help you guys out, right? Because you guys have done a tremendous, incredible job at this point. But if you're finding yourself at a sticking point, I want to give you some tools to work past those plateaus. Tony, what is going on? Jenny's here as well. 9:05 a.m. in Arizona. Ah, you're on the other side of the world there, Joanne. How hot is it over there? It's stupid hot here in Tampa, Florida, and very muggy, and it's not raining. Normally at this time of year it's hot and rainy. Right now it's just hot and steamy and muggy and not fun. AC all the way. I walk outside to go to my car, and then I walk back inside when I get to my destination. That's it, right? So, guys, remember, questions, drop them in the comment section, but I'm going to talk about what to do when the fat loss stalls. And I did want to see if I could share my screen on Facebook. Let's see if I can do that. I may not be able to. If not, that's fine. I'll just touch on a couple of different things you guys can do. All right. Yeah, we're just going to dive into that. Would have helped if I reviewed that prior to going live, right? All right. So, let's say you are Joey. What's going on? Hope you're doing well. Let's say you are you plateaued, you stalled out, right? You've been like, man, I've been doing all the things, doing the exercise, nutrition things, I've made some progress, things aren't moving anymore. You guys may remember that a few weeks ago, I put out a video on my YouTube channel going over the 10-day rule for fat loss, and that's just simply stick to your targets for at least 10 days. If things aren't moving after 10 days, okay, your body's had time to acclimatize to your targets. Now let's make a change of some sort, right? So considering that we've done that, we've been, and by the way, what I'm going to talk about next, do all these things before you make any changes, okay? So give yourself at least 10 days before making any further adjustments. Evaluate your consistency. Be honest with yourself, okay? That is so important, right? Have we been at least 95% or greater consistent with our nutrition, so our calorie targets, and really more specifically your macro targets? How about your cardio targets? What about your resistance training targets, right? If we're missing workout sessions in the gym, we're burning less calories, because when you lift weights, I'm not using weightlifting as a modality to burn calories, but you are burning some calories. Plus, that's going to help you build muscle and retain muscle during the cut. So it's very important, along with nutrition and cardiovascular work, right? Also, review progress pictures and measurements. Are you only using the scale to measure progress? That's not enough. You need to use a mirror test, right? And a better form of the mirror is taking pictures. Once a week is good. Just do it in a fasted state. Wake up when you're half asleep, throw your phone on a tripod or something, or on a chair and put it in reverse mode. Heck, you can put it in video mode and just go front, back, both sides, standing relaxed. Maybe do a couple flex pictures so you can see the progression. Oh, there's more definition in my bicep now than it was a month ago. Like, hey, if you're seeing those things improve, that means you're dropping body fat, right? The scale only tells some of the story, right? Measurements. I like a waist and a hip measurement, like with an $8 waist measuring tape from Amazon. If nothing else, get a waist measurement. Measure around the belly button. You don't have to worry about your belly button moving anywhere, so it gives you a constant spot to measure off of. And look, if you're losing like a quarter inch a week on the waist, that's excellent. I may not notice that if I didn't take the picture or the measurement and the pictures. If I was just doing the scale. Okay, so do all those things, all right? And then reflect on your stress levels. Like, if you're not sleeping at night because you're stressed out about work or family stuff or whatever, or if you just have caffeine at 8 o'clock at night and we're not sleeping, that's going to skyrocket your cortisol, and that's not good. Now, the scale may be up. You may be inflamed. Your body may be holding on to water weight. Let's make sure we're checking all those boxes. A lot of times I'll have a client go on vacation, and before that they may be like, Ben, I'm really kind of scared about going on vacation. I'm trying to get in shape in 60 days, 90 days. I'll usually go, all right, let's set some parameters for yourself. And by the way, if you guys want to talk about that, we can some more after. But before I get down a little side tangent, I'm going to stay on track. I'll say, hey, just to set some parameters for yourself. No stress. Have fun on vacation. Enjoy the time in the sun or whatever. When you get back, let's just touch base and check in and see where you're at. A lot of times, the weight's either the same or down. Why is it down? A lot of times it's because stress is low. Okay, there's no work stress going on. We're not getting up at 4 a.m. to go to get ready for work or whatever. Your body's just chilling. So hey, stress is a killer. Okay, don't let it become one. And there's a variety of different things you can focus on to get away from that. But review all these things before you make an adjustment. All right. So let's say you're like, all right, I do need to make an adjustment of some sort. I've been very consistent with everything across the board. That I would say, look, metabolic adaptations will occur eventually. Okay, because in order to elicit fat loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. So eating a little bit less than what it takes for you to maintain your weight every day. Okay, so if my maintenance calories was 3,000 week one of my cut, and then let's say 3 weeks later I am at 2,500. I made progress, but I've been stalled out for 10, 12 days. And this is not the greatest example because it probably takes more time, but 2,500 calories is my new maintenance. So maybe we need to lower it a little bit. You could simply drop calories by 100 or 200, primarily from carbs and fats, and now get things going again. Okay. Now, how low should you cut calories? I don't like to go below 10 times body weight in calories, at least far below that, because we're entering the realm of a very low calorie diet. Let me give you an example. I am currently 150 pounds. So 10 times body weight would be 1,500 calories. That is extremely low for me. Okay, I've actually never had to go that low on calories to get to that point, but I've had to get close. So I'm going to go below that range. Okay, just as an example. Now, in conjunction with that, you can add a little bit more cardio. Okay, and you've got some more room to move with movement. Okay, because if calories become too low, you bring your hormones in a bad spot. Okay, hunger levels are going to skyrocket. Sustaining the diet is just going to become extremely difficult. However, if I add some lower intensity cardio into my day, it's not going to put my hormones in a very tough spot. And let's say we're doing this for a push for a temporary amount of time, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, right? We're not doing it forever. It's just we're making a push. Hormones should be in a good spot as long as they are okay with my calories, right? Hunger levels are probably going to be somewhat manageable as well. Okay, low intensity cardio, I find it's beneficial for my hunger. In fact, after cardio, I feel energized. I don't feel that hungry. I feel like I'm in a really good spot. Okay, so if you are doing lower intensity cardio, maybe add about 10 minutes a session. Okay, so if you're doing 5 sessions a week, 30 minutes each time, 40 minutes each time, hey, maybe we're bumping it up 10 minutes, 40 minutes to 15 minutes, right? Maybe add one higher intensity cardio session a week. So if you're walking on the treadmill 40 minutes a day, maybe we're going up to 50 minutes a day. And then maybe you're slashing one of the treadmill sessions and add maybe like one elliptical session. I love true moderate intensity, steady state cardio 1 or 2 times a week to get that fat loss going more, okay? The elliptical machine, low impact, very tough, very challenging, but doesn't negatively impact me. Now, if I did it 7 days a week, yes, you're going to be wrecked, okay? I've done contest preps where I've added the elliptical twice a week, game changer, okay? I've never gone past 30 minutes. 30 minutes on the elliptical is very challenging because you're moving your arms, but you're having some resistance in the arms as with the legs, something you don't have with just walking on the treadmill. The treadmill, you're just moving your legs, right? Yes, you can move your arms, and that would burn a few more calories, I guess. But when there's a little bit of resistance in the arms, now it becomes tougher. So find an elliptical machine that you can increase the grade and the resistance, and do that 1 or 2 times a week. Heck, start with 15 minutes, okay? You will find that's not fun. I'm currently not dieting. I'm at maintenance. I do 1 mile once a week, and it takes me about 9 minutes. And I set it at a grade and resistance that's challenging for me. It's not fun at all. Okay, those 9 minutes are not fun, but it's quick. I get through it in a very time-efficient manner, work up a good sweat, and move on with my day, right? So you could use something like that. I don't like going over about 60 minutes a session for lower intensity cardio because, yeah, overuse injuries can come up like plantar fasciitis or something like that. My meat is going to go down later, so like my non-exercise, just movement, I'm going to start subconsciously restricting that because I'm just tired. I'm going to sit a lot more. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot if I do that, right? And the other thing is, a lot of people don't think about your stress hormones elevate soon after doing your cardio, soon after starting, okay? And that means, so like fight or flight hormones, right? And that means you're burning more calories at one time, your heart rate's going faster. When you get to that like that 40, 50, 60, 70 minute time frame, it starts to drop a little bit. Yes, it's still burning calories, but not as a efficient manner. Okay, so you've been better off just cutting that cardio session at 60 minutes, go throughout your day, eat some food, drink some water, rest, recover, and then doing a little bit longer later, even if you needed to. Okay, so there's a few variables you want to consider before just going for a really long time on the treadmill. I'm going to do 2 hours every single day, right? Hey, just cut it a little bit sooner. And that's the other thing. How sustainable is that? That's like mental warfare, going into treadmill walking every single day, right? The other thing is your cortisol level is going to go way up. I got this crazy hard session coming up. It's going to be really long. I'm doing it all the time. Hey, again, cortisol is not good for fat loss, okay? So those are some variables to consider, but typically speaking, drop calories by 1 or 200, add 10 minutes, maybe one higher intensity cardio session into your week. That should really get things moving for you. And keep tracking everything across the board. Make your own meals. Don't go out to eat for as much as you can, right? And that should put you in a good spot. Because if I make my own meals, I know exactly what's going into that meal, okay? Joanne says it's 85 degrees in Arizona, going to be 93 later. Oh, that's hot. Yep. Just about like it is over here. All right. Something else you can do, if you're like, man, I'm doing those things, I'm a little bit stalled out here, still, you can add a refeed day, okay? A refeed day is a calorie increase for 1 or 2 days, okay? Mostly from carbohydrates for this reason. Carbs give you energy, okay? When we eat carbs, they're stored in our muscle glycogen and made into available glucose, what our body needs to create energy, okay? So, when you've increased energy, you're going to push harder in the gym. Now we're building muscle and doing a better job of retaining muscle tissue during the cut, okay? It also increases muscle fullness and pumps in the gym. So this way, it's kind of psychological. Hey, wow, when I'm doing my arm curls, I can actually see the bicep moving. I don't just feel flat all the time. It's small, right? So now we're pushing a little bit harder, right? It can reduce cortisol, okay? And that's going to give you a better sleep, improved mood, and just overall sense of well-being. And lowered hunger levels, there's a very beneficial psychological benefit there. If I'm having some extra calories to lower my hunger, that way I could have 5 or 6 low days where I'm like a trooper. I'm sticking to it. But on my refeed, hey, it's a temporary reprieve. Now, I bring calories closer to maintenance, maybe like 400 or 500 on a refeed. I don't go, oh, I'm going to go out to eat on my refeed day. I'm going to have whatever I want to eat. No. This is an excuse to go to IHOP and have as many pancakes as you can fit in your stomach, right? No. This is a controlled increase in calories. So if you have rice at lunch, maybe have a little bit more of it. If you have oats at breakfast, maybe have a little bit more of those oats. Maybe you're having a little bit more pasta at dinner or something, right? Just like carbohydrate sources your body works well with, digest well, just have a little bit more of them. And to keep your digestion in a good spot, bring your fats up a little bit, okay? 5-10 grams, that should be plenty. That could be 1 or 2 extra egg yolks. It could be some olive oil, simple, okay? Something else a refeed does is you can boost your metabolism by temporarily improving your T3 conversion, okay? So now we're getting, for lack of better words, a little bit of a healing benefit on our thyroid, okay? Because when calories are low, your thyroid will start to downregulate a little bit. And when you have a higher calorie day, it can kind of blunt that temporarily. It's not a huge drastic difference, but it is worth noting, okay? So when your body goes, oh, I'm having more calories on a regular basis once or twice a week. Okay, when I'm at lower calories the other 5, 6 days of the week, I'm going to give, this person the fat loss benefits of being in a deficit. Make sense? And a diet break, hey, it's basically a refeed of a longer time. If you've been dieting for a long time, the duration of the challenge, longer than that, your body's going to need a break. It's only a matter of time before your body goes, hey, you've been on low calories, high cardio for a long time. I need a break, okay? So maybe take 4 weeks, maybe take 2 weeks, maybe take 1 week. Bring calories up to maintenance, and all the benefits that I mentioned for the refeed, you're going to get a diet break, but increased, especially when it comes to your hormone markers, right? Thyroid, leptin, even reproductive hormones, testosterone. It's going to kind of boost these levels, put them in a good spot. This way, your body's under less stress for a longer period of time. When you go to putting your body back under stress, you're going to get a positive reading, if you will. Okay. By the way, leptin, and I talked about this in my group, it's essentially your body's like fuel gauge to tell your brain how much energy is stored as body fat and whether it's safe to drop the body fat. So if your body's like, oh, I'm on a full tank, I'm going to drop more body fat. When you start a fat loss phase, when you have more body fat, your leptin levels are high. So when you go to deficit, that's why you make a lot of progress right off the bat. As you get leaner, hey, your leptin levels are going to go down some. That's why a refeed, a diet break can benefit that because calories are coming up, right? And now you have more of this like physiological tool in your tool bag, if you will. Okay, so those are just some tools for you guys. Hope this really helps. Let me know if you have any questions about that in the comment section below. The other thing I was going to say, I guess the comment section is not below, it's right on the screen. I feel like I'm doing a YouTube video right now. A lot of common mistakes I see some people make is just taking an extreme measure. Going like less than 1,000 calories for a month. Doing excessive cardio, it's just not sustainable, guys, right? You're going to beat yourself into the ground, and you'll be like, I don't want to do any of these fitness things anymore when this challenge is up. Heck with that. Look, we want to give you guys tools that are going to help you long after this challenge is over, okay? So, hey, we want you to reach your ultimate goals during this challenge. We also want to help you sustain them, and I've lost 40 pounds and kept it off, and these little habits, I keep saying tools, so I'm just going to keep beating that word into the ground. These tools I've kind of gathered along the way, it's helped me sustain my progress, right? Because it's one thing to lose weight, it's another thing to keep it off. And, if you do this, it just creates a perfect storm of progress, right? So, I know you guys have questions about this. Drop them in the comment section on the screen, and we can talk about that some more. Hey, we have the 4th of July coming up next Saturday when I look at my calendar, so if we're going to a party or something, look, let me give you guys some tools, ideas on how to navigate that, right? So I talked about setting some parameters before. Oh, we got a good question here. I'm going to touch on that in just a second, Mabel. That's a really good question. But let's say you're going somewhere on the 4th. You're like, man, it's going to be a cookout, hot dogs, burgers, beer. What do I do? Hey, you can work in a free meal like that, okay? Just portion control is going to be your best friend, and just don't enter the situation starving. Let's say you're going to a cookout at 5 p.m. Earlier in the day, have 2 high-protein meals, maybe a little bit lower in fats, lower in carbs, just keep calories open for you. Later in the day, protein's filling. This way, when you enter that situation, you're not going to be just so hungry that you want all the hot dogs that are there and 6 drinks and that sort of thing, right? Have an egg white and veggie omelet. Have 8 ounces of chicken breast and a cup of rice or something earlier in the day. Drink plenty of water. If you're dehydrated, you may feel like you're hungry, but you really just need some water, right? And that way it can put you in a good spot. Tony, very good advice. My weight is moving down again. Yes! That is awesome, Tony. By the way, guys, Tony was the 50-plus winner in the last challenge. He's in my focus group. He had a little bit of a stall out. And we talked through some variables he could consider adjusting, and lo and behold, he's making progress again. I love that. I'm pumped for you, Tony. All right, Mabel says, what do you mean when you say dieting? That's actually a really good question. I just mean when you're in a calorie deficit and your goal is losing body fat, okay? So it can refer to as dieting or cutting or shredding if you want to. Basically, if I'm like, hey, I want to lean out, get a little leaner, then it means eating a little bit less than my maintenance calories and doing a little bit extra cardio to burn calories, putting deeper into the calorie deficit, or I guess the best terminology for it would be an energy deficit. Does that make sense, Mabel? And by the way, guys, I have my phone here with the live pull up. I'm not just looking out the window or something. This way I can get an idea of the comments that are rolling in. Perfect. I nailed it for you. Wonderful. Glad to hear that, Mabel. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job of just kind of surfing through the discussion group. And by the way, everyone's killing it with the Accountability Monday post. Go ahead and post again this upcoming Monday because it's like the last one. And by the way, I still want you guys to do it after the giveaway is complete, right? I'm sure it helps you big time to stay on track. But post again on Monday. We're going to have we'll pick one lucky winner after that for that giveaway. So you guys should be excited about that. And hey, the chances of winning are much, much better than a lottery ticket, right? BJ says, will there be focus groups in the fall challenge? We are planning on it. We want to hear from you guys, the feedback. I mean, it's been, in my group, it's been awesome. In the other groups, it's been awesome from what the others have been telling me and that sort of thing. So I would love to roll it back again because I've been having a great time hanging out with everyone. And this way, us coaches are able to really kind of give back to you guys a little bit more of an intimate setting because we're all doing the best we can in a main group. I know I am just trying to spend time in here every day, but if you're in a focus group and let's say there's, less than 500 of us, if there's 20 of us or 10 of us or whatever, we're able to kind of know what each other's situation is. We discuss it in a forum manner. We have our weekly live videos where we do a presentation, Q&A after, and you just, as a participant, just get a lot of value from it, right? Karen says, I find it hard to keep on track with macros when I work 13 hours a day with minimal break time. If I'm over or under, could I adjust either way the following day? Any other ideas? So I want to touch on the other ideas first, Karen, before getting to the first part of your question. So look, you work 13 hours a day, so I assume maybe you're like a nurse or something like that. Here's what I would do, if we're doing 13 hours. All right, I can only eat maybe twice a day, 3 times a day. Maybe I'm having a decent sized meal, a larger meal before I go into work, and then I know I'm going to have another meal when I get off work, right? Because I know during the 13 hours, I am on the go most of the time. I have minimal rest, right? You can add a third meal maybe halfway through your shift because you say you get minimal rest. If you have a 5-minute break, then you can make a liquid meal, okay? So something like that could be something like a protein shake, but instead of just protein and water, maybe it's like protein powder, almond milk, maybe like a nut butter. You get a carbohydrate in there. I've blended up oats into a protein shake before, and I'm getting a complex carb. I can add fruit like banana, strawberry, blueberry, and I'm getting fibrous carbs. I'm getting calorically dense carbs. So I'm having, you can add a non-fat Greek yogurt or something like that. So now I'm getting something that's very high in protein. Maybe it's like 50 grams of protein, 40, 50 grams. I can make it as high as, I can make it a lot of carbs in there, but maybe having 50 grams of carbs or something, 10 to 20 grams of fat. This is a staple meal, but it's in liquid form. I could chug it quickly. When I'm on my shift, stick this in a cooler or whatever, and I'm good to go. So now I just put 3 meals into your day. So you're having like one whole food type of meal. Maybe it's like an omelet, oatmeal, before you're going to work. Maybe you're having your chicken and rice at night or whatever. It doesn't have to be chicken and rice, but it's just an example, right? So whole food sources of your meals, and maybe have a liquid meal in between. Okay, that could be more realistic for you, and it could put you in a good spot, Karen, right? So let me know if that helps, because there's other areas that you can look at. If you're like, okay, my schedule is very predictable on these 13-hour shifts, then I would definitely do something like that. Or, you could go, all right, maybe I'm going to have a small meal when I get home because I want to go to bed sooner. Then maybe you're putting a couple of those liquid calorie meals during the day, maybe no more than 2, right? We don't want any digestive discomfort, but you can spread the calories out a little bit more, okay? And then another one, maybe it's like I'm having a few rice cakes with a nut butter on it or jam on it or something, right? And then I'm having something as simple as, heck, it could be deli lunch meat, right? It doesn't take me long to have that in a wrap, or if I'm making a shake with just protein powder and water. It just kind of depends on your situation, right? Just trying to give you some ideas. And then, can you adjust the next day for your calories? Yes. I just would want to focus on going, all right, what can I do next time to not end up in a situation where I'm way below my calories? All right. That way you can get a good, consistent result. All right. Mabel says a liquid meal replacement is a great way to get more macros in. It 100% is, Mabel. And when I'm working with clients who are like, Ben, I'm just really not that hungry. Maybe we're like in a maintenance phase or a reverse diet or heck in a deficit, and maybe just not that hungry for whatever reason. I'm like, have some liquid calories. And on the flip side, if you're like, man, I'm starving, I'm hitting my macros, I'm having protein shakes, cut out the protein shakes because they are not filling. I could have, what is this, 8 ounces of fluid with 2 scoops of protein powder and drink that, and that's going to fill me up for 4 seconds, right? So, like, it just depends on your current situation. Karen says, thank you. If oatmeal, am I to weigh it before or after cooking it? Great question. I would weigh it before cooking it. So, like, for breakfast today, I had an omelet and oatmeal, and I had 80 grams of oats, and I weighed those 80 grams before I cooked it. So I took my bowl, put it on the scale, poured in 80 grams of oats, added water, put it in the microwave, whatever, and then it was after. Now, if you're making a large batch, and it's also like this for like meat or something. If you're making a large batch, you're going to weigh it after, okay? For a grain, it'll be before and after, okay? So if you're making one serving, one meal, weigh it before. If you're making a large batch, which means you can make multiple meals from it, weigh it before and after. Does that make sense, Mabel? And Nicole answered your question before. You got it, Nicole. So if I'm making rice or pasta, I'm going to wait before and after because I know it's going to be heavier after I cook it and add water, etc. So I want to know, okay, if I made 7 servings of rice, it's 315 grams uncooked. But after I cook it, I'm adding a bunch of water. It's going to vary depending on the amount of water I use, how long I cook it, etc. I'm going to want to weigh before and after. Tony, words of wisdom from Tony here. I do pre-planning for your meals if you can. That will make it easier to hit your macros. 100%. Love that, Tony. Yes, plan out ahead of time. In fact, planning your meals could be, I'm going to write it down on an Excel spreadsheet, a future day in my tracking app, a piece of paper, what I want to eat for today, what I need to eat for today to stay on track. And then I know, I need to have 100 grams of cooked rice, 8 ounces of chicken at meal 2 or whatever. You know exactly what needs to happen, right? Or you could make your meals, put them in the fridge, and now just grab and go. Mabel always weighs her oats before. Yep, good plan. Oatmeal is so easy to make. Like I don't batch cook. I know people like a lot of it. Maybe you all like to do this. Maybe it gives you a better taste or something. But like cooking on the stove, or whatever, 4 minutes in a microwave, like based on where my calories are at, I'll have 80 grams at one time, which I guess is the equivalent of 1 cup. Weight is always more accurate, so I always just throw it on the scale. I don't worry about the measuring cups. And 80 grams of oats, 16 ounces of water, 4 minutes. It comes out perfect. I put some fruit in there, cinnamon, salt, tasty. Something that I've been doing is I've been using plums lately. They've been on sale at the grocery store, and they've been ripe. And that's great, but look, hey, most put dates in their oats, right? Why not? Why don't I just put the plums in there, right? The fresh fruit tastes awesome. I love it. Sid says, should I cut my calories if my weight plateaus, or should I add more cardio sessions? For context, my first 3 weeks weight dropped consistently, and then the 4th week it seems to be the same. If it is calories, then should I cut like 10%? So we talked about this earlier, Sid. So if you haven't seen that part, the recording is really going to help you, but I'll answer right here. It depends where your calories and your cardio are at currently. I like to do a little bit of both. So tell me where your calories are at. Tell me what your cardio is. Like, are you doing treadmill walking 5 days a week? Like, tell me what exactly that is. I can give you some specifics here. Because ideally, we want to do a little bit of both. This way we don't have to go super low in calories or super high in cardio. I wish Facebook had a feature where you could unmute yourself. In our focus group, we've been meeting on Google Meets, and we just have a discussion there, and it's good because this way you don't have to spend time just typing it all in the comments. Week 1, I apologize to all of my Team Ben peeps. We did a Facebook Live. I was like, okay, guys, unmute yourself. Ask your questions, comments, whatever. Unbeknownst to me, you can't just unmute yourself in a Facebook Live. It's just a Ben technology issue, right? But anyway, Ed, any ideas for a food item that is like a dessert to have late evening? I am overcoming a sweet tooth. Ed, you are going to love our weekly video on Monday because we're talking about macro-friendly recipes. But I'll let the cat out of the bag. This way, everyone else could get in on it. I want to say I invented something, but I probably didn't. I call it the blender protein ice cream. I have some videos on my YouTube channel going over some variations of the recipe. But basically, all you need is a blender, protein powder, frozen fruit, especially frozen banana slices. Frozen strawberry, frozen blueberries are good to have as well. And I like almond milk. If you use the right amount of each, like a scoop of protein powder, 4 to 5, maybe 6 ounces of the almond milk, 6 to 8 medium ice cubes, 4 ounces of the banana. You could go a little bit less on the banana, but the banana is going to give you like a creamy texture like ice cream. And then put in your frozen strawberry, frozen blueberry, blend it up. It comes out the consistency of ice cream. And I found some other ways to make it even creamier, like an ice cream. Like the way ISO is good, I will tell you that like a core pudding, like it's like a casein protein, is even better. It's going to come out even more creamier. And this will do an incredible job at curbing that sweet tooth. All right. If you can fit it into your macros, add like half an ounce of whipped cream into it. Right. So if you blend that into it, it's going to get even more creamy. And I do this. I try to do it every day if I have time because it just tastes that good. So that will help tremendously. You could use. Let's see. I'll give it a try. Yes, definitely give it a try. And I will say, you want a blender that's a little bit stronger. I had this Hamilton Beach one for Amazon. It was like $40. It worked really good. After 2 years, it broke when I was making ice cream one day. But if you can get 2 years out of it, that's pretty darn good. The more expensive blenders are really, really good for this. I will say that it's important to put in the fluid first, and then add your protein powder, and then quickly add your frozen stuff on top. If you're using a casein, it'll start to like solidify really fast, and now you got like this gunk in there. It's not blending right, and it's very frustrating. So if you have it all ready to go, put it in. You'll be good to go. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can pull up my video on my YouTube channel. I have a few videos going over how to make a few different versions of this. It tastes really, really good. Sid, I would play the recording. Oh no, it's fine, Sid. Just let me know. Oh, you did. Okay. I'm eating 2,550 calories, average 20,000 steps a day, no other cardio. Dropped 8 pounds. That's great. Started at 214, 32% body fat, currently at 206. I'm 42. All right. So, here's what I'll recommend doing, all right? One thing stands out to me. No other cardio other than 20,000 steps a day. Instead of 20,000 steps a day, I'll do maybe 8 to 10K and start adding in cardio because that's higher intensity than just general daily steps. If I walk on a treadmill at a high incline, I'm now walking at a higher grade than I want to walk at. Increase that speed to a point where you're walking fast. That's to increase your breathing rate. You'll work up a good sweat, and now I'm burning more calories than I would just walking around. Okay, so I'm not saying necessarily just stop, doing daily movement. Do that, but let's start adding some cardio. All right, so make sure you're getting at least 10K steps in your day, and then add some cardio. Maybe you're doing 30 minutes every day. Maybe you're doing the elliptical machine once a week, doing the treadmill the other 6 days, something like that. And then, as far as calories go, 206, 2,550, you've got plenty of room. Maybe drop calories by about 200 from carbs and fats, and that combination should be really the perfect storm for you, Sid. All right. Let me know if that helps. But I think if you have a chance later to rewatch the recording, it will really help you because we actually had a question specifically about cardio. And I talked about that some more. And then I talked about what to do when fat loss stalls, like all little things you can do, okay? Like diet breaks, refeeds, cutting calories, adding cardio. So I think that's really going to help you. But hopefully what I just said can help you as well. So let me know. Mabel says, cinnamon rice cakes with a nut butter for a lactose-free dessert. I'm obsessed with these rice cakes to boost my carbs. I like to have my last meal to be a snack and usually have it be dessert. Like I don't do lactose, so I'll sometimes also make a chocolate pudding with yogurt, protein powder, a little water. Really helps. Wonderful. Great advice, Mabel. Sid, got it. Thanks. Perfect. Glad it helped you, Sid. Yeah, like I said, you have plenty of room in your calories, so you could adjust it there. Yeah, I like the rice cake thing too. Plain rice cakes are horrible, but the apple cinnamon ones are great. The caramel rice cakes are awesome. I really like those. Even if nothing on them, they taste good. But you can make like a little paste. I think that's what you said. You do and put it on top of there. Yeah, you can make a pudding. That's the other thing. If you're making a protein ice cream, you can add a little sugar-free Jello mix into it, and that can make it more solid if that doesn't give you any issues with your digestion, that sort of thing. That really does help. Cottage cheese, protein powder, and fruit. Yummy. There we go. It's a good one, Karen. I like putting cottage cheese in my omelets. Do any of you guys do that? I make the best omelets, by the way. So if any of you guys haven't tried that, give it a shot. I think that'll really help you. I should make the Coach Ben cookbook. That's something I need to do. I'll have my production crew work on that sometime. Actually, what I was going to do was, let me see if I can find that protein ice cream video really fast, and I'll drop it in the comment section for you guys. If I can find my live video, I'm going to have to do it on my phone. All right, let me see if I can do it without ending the live. Let's see. What else do you guys like for a treat meal? That you can fit into your macros. Keep those ideas coming because we can all learn from each other here. Let's see. Macro-friendly recipes. There we go. Here it is. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. And by the way, I know a lot of people like the Ninja Creamy. I don't have one, and I never have, but I bet those things are incredible. If you want to invest in one of those, that's got to be like a diet hack. I would tell you that the protein ice cream I make was the best diet hack, if you will, that I ever came across. Let me drop this in the comment section here. There we go. I just pasted in one recipe of a bunch of different ones. If your calories are higher and you're in a reverse or maintenance or whatever, you can make this ice cream really, really interesting too. There's a lot of different things you can do. All right, guys, you have any more questions? I'll hang on for a couple more minutes here in case you do. What's sad is I noticed that this is the last sugar-free A&W I had in my fridge, so I'm going to have to go get some more. Let's see. I think I touched on all the questions here. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully this helps you all out. Like I said, if you're at a plateau with your fat loss, I think what we talked about here really can help. All right. So, guys, questions later, drop them in the Facebook group. Tag me, and I will see it. Sometimes if there's a comment or something, I may miss it. If you tag me, I'll get notified, and I'll address it for you, and we can rock and roll from there. All right. And then, guys, if anyone's ever interested in one-on-one coaching, I'm always an email away. It's just my name, ben@prophysique.com, and we can touch base on like a live consultation, whether it's on a video call or a phone call. Talk about your situation and all that good stuff going forward. But anyway, I will wrap this up. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. You too, Ed. Have an awesome weekend. Yep, and everyone, yep, that's right. Ed said it for us. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Keep crushing your goals, all right? Take care.